So I think, let me remove this. I think I'm live. Hey, and I hope I've unmuted myself this time. It looks good. Let me have a look at the chat. Hey, chat, are you there? Let me know if you can hear me. Not that I'm muted again and nobody can hear what I'm saying. Hey, hi. So, hey, welcome everybody. Thanks for watching again. This is the second round of my AWS certification quiz, where I go through a batch of questions. Devi wrote, why can't I see that here? Okay, cool. We can hear you. Thank you so much. Okay, I can move that away. Great, cool. Thanks. All right, so welcome everyone. I'm Dennis, developer advocate with Amazon Web Services, and this is the second round of questions that I've posted on my 1-minute AWS certification quiz on YouTube. And today I can see we've got a number of people here on the chat. Jose, nice to see you again. Shadi is here again. Sudalai, I'm not sure I remember you. We've got a few new faces. Great to see you all. I'm just gonna do it like I did last week, maybe with some slight variations. We're gonna go through questions number 6 through 10. In in my AWS certification quiz shorts, we're gonna look at the questions. I'm gonna ask you, chat, to answer the questions, and I might have a few questions around that to dive a little deeper into the questions and why some things are right and some things are not so right. Great. And then I'm also going to look at, and I've prepared it this time, I'm also going to look at who answered to the actual questions on YouTube. I'm going to raffle some AWS credits among those who answered, and I'm going to raffle another round of AWS credits among everyone who's here on the chat and would like to participate. And to do that, I am going to, give me a second, I'm going to turn the raffle on. Start giveaway. So let's see. It says it's starting. Something should. Oh wait, let me see. Let me just reload this. Maybe the session is giveaways. Oh, technology is killing me every time. Here we go. Okay, so the raffle is open. Right. Okay. If you type raffle with an exclamation mark, as I did just now, you are in with a chance to win another voucher of AWS credits to be usable inside of your, yeah, it appeared now, great, inside of your AWS account worth $25. Exactly, Devi got it right. Everybody do what Devi did. Join the raffle. Most of you who won last time already got in touch with me. If you haven't yet, please let me know. Please get in touch. My email address, again, it's this one. I'm going to put it in the chat. Amazon.com. If you haven't already, if you've won last time or if you win today, I'll post that email address later again. Send me an email. Let me know that you won, and I will make sure that you get your voucher. Okay, cool. We've got a number of viewers here already. Björn is here again. Hey, Björn, nice to see you. Jimmy, Jose, I saw you already. Great, that's awesome. So, Chad, who, just real quick, Gaurav Gupta is there as well. Just real quick, where are you all from? Just let me know in the chat. Where are you from? I'm in Germany. I'm here in Hamburg. It's the north, all the way north in Germany. We have a sunny day today, but I closed my curtains to get the light right, because otherwise the sun would be shining in and you couldn't see anything. So we have a beautiful day, and right after this session, it's 3 in the afternoon over here, right after this session, I'm gonna drop everything. You're from Jordan. Nice, Shadi. Great. Welcome. So right after this, I'm going to drop everything, and for me, it's going to be weekend. Björn's from Germany. Yeah, Björn, we met already in the past. Gaurav Gupta is from India. It's great. It's a very international crowd here. I wonder if there's somebody from the Americas. I mean, over there, it's pretty early still, I think. It's really hard to make such a show at a time that is convenient for everyone. But maybe there are 1 or 2 persons from the US or from South America or from Canada. We'll see. All right, let me see if my screen sharing works. Here, I guess you can see my screen because I can see it. Let me move here. I'm gonna start India against Sweden. Jimmy, you're from Sweden. Hey, that's not too far from here. Colombia, 8 a.m. Okay, someone from the other side of the ocean. Great to see you here. Okay, cool. So Ujjwal is here again. Ujjwal is from India as well. Great to see you. Uma from Pakistan. Devi Kiran is from India, from Bangalore. Awesome. Cool. Great to have you all. So let's start with question number 1. The question, which of, there's a typo, which of the following S3 storage tiers is less expensive? S3 IA, which stands for infrequent access, or S3 standard. The options that we have is A, S3 infrequent access is less expensive. B, S3 standard is less expensive. C, the cost is identical. Or D, it depends on how it's used. Chat, what do you think? Which one is the right one? A, B, C, or D? What do you think? Is S3 IA less expensive or S3 standard, or do they cost the same, or does it depend on how they are used? Let me know in the chat. So D, S3 standard is less. Option B, Gaurav says A, S3, D. We've got a number of different opinions here, which is nice. A, S3 IA is less expensive. D, Ujjwal, D, Shadi, D. I can see we appear to have a majority voting for D. So what do you think? Everybody who voted for D, what do you think? Why is it D? Why does it depend? How does it depend? What do you think? S3 IA. So S3 IA, maybe just as a quick explanation, the difference between standard and IA is standard is just if you just use S3, if you just store something in S3 without changing anything, it's stored in S3 standard, which is a stored tier. But we also have IA for infrequent access. We have one zone IA where it's only stored in one zone. And we have a few more, like we have archival options as well, like Glacier Deep Archive. So cost-based and storage classes. Okay, Jimmy, even access pattern with no object move from standard to other cheaper tiers. I'm not entirely sure. I'll get into it real quick. So what we have, S3 standard. This is default storage, and infrequent access is for objects that you don't need to access that often. S3 infrequent access is cheaper when it comes to storage. However, you have a higher retrieval fee. So whenever you get the object, you pay an additional fee. So if you don't often use the object, IA is really less expensive than S3. But if you store something in IA, but then you get it, you load it all the time, you retrieve it all the time, then it can get more costly. So it really depends on how it's used. So it's D, it depends on how it's used, because in some cases, like for instance, a very good use case for IA, S3 IA really is a backup. If you're running backups every day, let's say every 24 hours, you make a backup of your file system or of your database, and you want to store that in S3. You usually don't need the backup anymore. Most of the time, you can just, at some point, you can archive it and forget it. However, in the rare case of a disaster, in the rare case of your database maybe getting corrupted, you need to get the backup. You need to get the backup quickly to recover, basically to restore from the backup. And this is a very typical case for IA, for infrequent access, where you usually want cheap storage, but you don't need to access the file. You just need to have it handy if you need it. But so it's cheaper to store, but you have an extra fee for retrieval. So for backups, most of the time, it's much less expensive if you use IA than if you use S3 standards. But for instance, if you have images that you load on a website and people visit this website and the image is loaded from S3 all over again all the time, then it gets more expensive because of the higher retrieval fee. So it really depends on the use case. And we have one thing on AWS, which is the intelligent tiering feature. So you can store it. You can store your object in the intelligent tier, so that AWS automatically decides which one is cheaper depending on your access patterns, and will put it into infrequent access or put it into S3 standard depending on what would be cheaper. So that's a nice to have. Let me see. We had a number of people. Where is it? I got it here. We had a number of people who answered this question. Not too many, which is fine. Ujjwal, again, Aquaridas, Shiba, and Xavier. And I would say, since Ujjwal was very lucky last time and he won twice, Aquaridas won as well, and Shiba also, if I'm not mistaken. If I'm not mistaken, let me see. Let me look something up. Yeah, and Shiba won last time as well. I would say the first round goes to Xavier. And for everybody else, don't mind, we'll run more raffles. Hey, Ahmed, good to see you. I would say just simply that Xavier, because he's new on the show, gets the first voucher of AWS credits. I hope you're fine with that. So congratulations, Xavier, if you're on the show. If not, I'm going to get in touch through YouTube with you. So everybody who's not on the show and who's going to win, I'm going to get in touch so you can get your credit vouchers. So that's this one. Do you have any more questions regarding S3 tiers? If you do, just let me know on the chat. And everybody who has just joined, welcome to the AWS Certification Quiz Show. We're going through a number of questions that I've posted on YouTube last week. Just for me to explain why things are correct, why things may be incorrect. We also have a raffle. So if you type !raffle in the chat, as I do right now, raffle here. If you type this in the chat, you're in for a raffle of AWS credits worth $25 that you can use in your AWS account. Cool. So next question. Let me see what we have here. Which one? And that's S3 tiers again. Which one of the following statements is true? And let me see if, because everybody types raffle, but I don't have any entries. Oh, I hate it. I really hate it. So I can see again that apparently the CloudBot did not recognize the entries again, just as it did last time. Oh, come on. I'll start it again. Edit, save, start. So let me see. The raffle has been canceled. I need to ask you just a second, just 1 second. Raffle has started. So everyone again, please type !raffle again so that, and I'll take a look. Yeah, Sudalai is in there now. Thanks. And now we've got the response from Streamlabs. Good. So raffle. Great. You're all in. Everybody's getting in there. I'm still figuring this out. I'm sorry. Yeah, good. Okay, so everybody's joining the raffle right now, which is good. Okay, while you're doing that, the question, which of I had that. I just had that. So here we go. So, which one of the following statements is true? A, the availability of S3 standards and S3 standard IA infrequent access again is the same, or B, the durability of S3 standard and S3 standard IA is the same, or C, the latency of S3 and Glacier is the same, or D, the latency of S3 is greater than that of Glacier. Everybody, chat, what do you think? This is a very important question if you take the certification exam, because this is something that comes up very often for us. It's really important for you to understand the differences between the different storage options when it comes to availability, durability, and latency. So let me see the chat. B, durability is the same. Option B is correct. Everybody says B. Any other opinions? Anybody else? B, no other opinions? All right, I would say let's go with the majority. Right, B is correct. B is right. The durability of S3 standard and S3 standard IA is the same. And that is very important to understand. The durability is 11.9, so 99.9999999% of durability. But the availability of S3 standard is 99.99, and the availability of IA is only 99.9%. So IA has a lower availability than standard, but it has the same durability. The latency, when it comes to C or D, Glacier has a much higher latency because it takes, depending on the option that you choose, between a few minutes and a few hours to retrieve objects from Glacier. But the benefit is, the advantage, the upside is Glacier is much less expensive. It's really for archival. It is not for live data. It really is for cold storage. So the latency of Glacier is higher than the latency of S3. So D is incorrect as well. Great. Let's have a look at question 7. We had a number of people joining the quiz. Edward Montes, Brandon Bowman, Ujjwal, Edgar Ganapati, Milad Akravidas, Amara Malik, and David Abdallah. Let's see, where is Madam A? Oh, no, that's wrong. Madam A, come on. Here we go. Let's see. We have 9 participants. Give me a random number between 1 and 9.
Your random number between 1 and 9 is 2.
2. So Brandon Bowman has won. Congratulations, Brandon. If you're on the call, let me know. Make that fat. Okay, Brandon, congratulations if you're on the call. If not, I'm going to get in touch through YouTube. Congratulations for the AWS voucher. Everybody else, if you type !raffle, you're going to enter our quiz raffle of credits today. So let's go. Let's see. And what's question number 2? Let's have a look at question number 7. Question number 7. Which one of the following statements? What? We had that. We had that just now. Number 7. I want 8. That's 9. I accidentally. Okay. I loaded the wrong one. Give me a second. I'll get the right one. I will get the right one. 8, 9. Here we go. So this one is 8, number 8. So here we go. Question number 8. And now this is important to know for not only for the certification, but in general, when you're working with AWS, which encryption key management option on S3 is best for ensuring strong audit trails? A, SSE S3, B, SSE KMS, C, SSEC, or D, client-side encryption. Which one is best? What do you think, chat? Shadi says B, that's SSE KMS. Anybody else? What do you think? What do you think? Is it B or is it anything else? B, KMS, B, yeah. Anybody else? B? Yeah, you know that already. Okay, does anybody know what SSEC stands for? Debbie, you're right, because SSE KMS is easy to integrate with audit tools. Because the reason for that is that KMS, any access to KMS keys to encrypt or decrypt data is being logged in CloudTrail. So to use KMS keys, you need to go through the AWS API. And CloudTrail documents, logs all these calls to KMS. And yeah, I'll be right back with the chat. Just real quick, I'll explain this here. SSE S3, so the standard encryption, and I'll open up, let me see, I'll open up the console real quick. Let's see, let me go in there. Okay, let me. Let's go to S3. Let's check out a bucket. Let's check out a bucket with very important files. Here we go. So let's have a look at properties. Here we have default encryption. On this bucket, I am not using any default encryption. But if I edit this, we've got server-side encryption. So what you said, Sudala, is correct. It's SSE stands for server-side encryption. What we can do here is use SSE S3, which basically is managed by AWS. So this is a key that is unique to your account. Nobody else can use that key. But this is a key that AWS manages for you, and you don't have to take care of anything. If you can access the object, S3 will take care of the encryption and the decryption. So all you need is permissions to access the objects to be able to decrypt them. But if you use SSE KMS, that means that you have a specific key or specific keys that are managed by KMS, and keys that are managed by KMS have their own permissions. So people can only access your file if they have the permission to access the file, and they have permission to use the key to decrypt the file. And using the key is being audited by CloudTrail. So whenever you use KMS, SSE KMS, which is slightly more expensive than SSE S3, however, on the upside, you will be able to have strong audit trails. So you will always be able to see who used which key when for what. And that's what it's thought for. Ahmed responded to my question from before, client. So SSEC basically stands for client or for customer. This is where the customer brings the key. Brings the key means that whenever you store a file on S3, you send the key with the file, and it's being encrypted using that key. But if you want to retrieve the file again, you have to send the key again in order for it to retrieve. So the key is not managed by AWS. You have to manage the key, and you need to make sure that you don't lose the key, because if you lose the key, you can't access the file anymore. That is really important. Some customers really want to manage their own keys. They don't want to manage their keys inside of KMS. However, then they need their own key management infrastructure. And they need to really make sure that they have the mapping of which object, which file, which bucket uses which key. And if they lose a key, the data is gone. So this is really important to know. All four are valid options. All four are valid options to encrypt your data in S3. SSE KMS is the one with the least amount of management, the least amount of work for you, but at the same time having a strong audit trail and very granular permission management. So great. Let's see. Who did we have here? We had question 8. Here we go. So we had, is that correct? This. Not entirely sure. I don't want to make mistake now. We have Ujjwal, Kamal, Sadev, Sudalai, Jason. Yeah, I got the correct name. So we have 10 participants in this one. Give me a random number between 1 and 10.
Your random number between 1 and 10 is 7.
Kevin Schott, congratulations. If you're on the show, congratulations. If you're not, I'm going to send you a message through YouTube. I'll just going to mark that. And for everybody who's just joined, welcome to the AWS Certification Quiz. We're going through a number of questions today. And everybody who's joining in the chat has the opportunity to win AWS credits worth $25. If you want to win credits, just enter !raffle in the chat, just like I did just now. It's probably going to show up in a second. Enter the raffle and you're in. Let's see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 participants right now. So there are 11 people on the call. Please type raffle if you want to join the raffle. Great. Shadi is joining the raffle. Dennis joined the raffle, but I'm not. I'm going to remove myself. James is in the raffle as well. So I'm going to remove myself because that doesn't make any sense if I'm in there. All right. Okay, cool. That was question number 8. So all of you got that right. Congratulations. Question number 9. Now this is a very, very different topic. NAT instances and NAT gateways. Does anybody know what NAT stands for? Please let me know in the chat while I'm going through the question. Regarding NAT instances and NAT gateways, which of the following statements are true? So we have 2 statements right now that are true. Number 1, A, NAT instances and NAT gateways are both highly available. Option B, creating a NAT gateway requires instance size configuration. Then we have C, you are responsible for patching a NAT instance. AWS is responsible for patching a NAT gateway. And D, NAT instances need a security group. NAT gateways don't. What do you think? Which 2 of those are correct? Network address translation. That's correct. Network address translation. And once I've got all the answers, I'm going to go into what that means real quick. So everybody who's got internet at their home using DSL, for instance, has a NAT, some type of NAT thing inside of your DSL router. Most of us are using something like that. Okay, Björn says A and D. Ahmed says C and D. Oh, that's interesting. We have differing opinions here. A and D, C and D. Anybody else? What do you think? What is it? C and D. B, anyone? What about B? D. Shadi, it's 2 options. You can't give me another one. 2 are correct. A and B, Davy says A and B are correct. A and D, James, C and D, Sudalai, D, Shadi. I hope I'm pronouncing your names correctly. D, yeah, D. Any another one? Shadi, give it a guess. Give it a guess. What do you think? What else? And everybody else in chat, give it a guess. What do you think? What's correct? There's no shame. There's no shame in it. It's really I get things wrong myself. I mean, even I don't know everything. I work at AWS, and I still can't know everything. Still thinking. All right. Yeah, I give you maybe another minute or two to think about that while I'm talking about what NAT actually does, what a NAT device. NAT gateway is security A and D group at security. Oh, okay. Security. Okay, I'm not sure. Yozan, thanks for joining. Thanks for joining. I'm not sure I understand what you wrote in the chat. Anyway, what is a NAT? If you have an internal network, like a private network, with only private IP addresses like 10.0.0 something or 192.168 something something, these IP addresses are not addressable from the internet, so they can't be directly addressed. And devices that have these addresses cannot communicate with the internet. So if you have a server in a private subnet with only private IP addresses, this server cannot be reached from the internet. So it's protected. This is a security measure, but at the same time, it cannot open up a connection to the internet because its own address is not visible to the internet. So what a NAT instance or a NAT gateway does is the server. So the server in the private network sends its request that it wants to send to the internet. It sends its request to the NAT gateway. The NAT gateway takes the request and sends it to the destination and remembers where it came from. So it remembers the internal IP address and it remembers the external IP address. And once the response comes back from the internet, once the response comes back, it takes the response and looks, oh, this is for this guy over there, and translates it. So it translates the public address to the private address to hand it back to the original requester. That's what a NAT does. Your son wrote A and D. Okay, cool. So let me get into it. What is correct? First of all, C and D are correct. I'll go here. C and D are correct. So you are responsible for patching a NAT instance. AWS is responsible for patching an stop. Here. C is responsible. You are responsible for patching a NAT instance. AWS is responsible for patching a NAT gateway. And D, NAT instances need a security group. NAT gateways don't. Now I'll go back real quick just to go through the different options and explain why they are right and wrong. A, both NAT instances and NAT gateways are not highly available by default because both are being deployed into one availability zone. If you want to have anything being highly available that runs inside of the VPC, like your own servers or a load balancer or NAT gateway or anything, or a database server, you need to deploy it into at least 2 availability zones. The reason behind that is that it changed from true to false. Which of the following statements are true? Oh, thank you. Thank you. So yeah, that's a good catch. I didn't see that. I must have missed that when I must have mistyped that. In the question, it's correct. So though, but thanks for the catch, Devi. Yeah, you saw that. Good catch, great catch. Anyway, this is correct as it is here. So both NAT instances and NAT gateways by default are deployed into one availability zone. And if you want something to be highly available, it needs to be in at least 2 availability zones. The reason behind that is if one availability zone goes down for whatever reason, loses connectivity, loses power. Then there's a second availability zone as basically the fallback option. So then it's highly available. Both NAT instances and NAT gateway by default are only deployed into one availability zone. So you would have to make it highly available yourself by deploying them into multiple availability zones. This is why A is incorrect. Second, B, creating a NAT gateway requires instance size configuration. This is wrong because a NAT gateway is a managed service, and we take care of scaling the instance underneath. So the compute instance that runs underneath, we take care of scaling. You don't need to do that. Then answer C, and this one is correct. You are responsible for patching a NAT instance. AWS is responsible for patching a NAT gateway. And now it's important to understand that NAT instances are older than NAT gateways. So first we started providing NAT instances that you had to manage yourselves. And then later we created a managed NAT gateway. This is a newer service where we provide it as a managed option for you. So you don't have to take care of things like instance size configuration and so forth. So the NAT gateway basically is what you should use because it's the newer service. A NAT instance, it does the same thing, but you have to manage it yourself. So you are responsible for patching a NAT instance. We, AWS, are responsible for patching a NAT gateway, which means you should use a NAT gateway if you can, because then you don't need to do all the work because we do it. And then D is correct. NAT instances need a security group. NAT gateways don't, because NAT instances are like EC2 instances. You have to manage them yourself. So you also have to manage the security group, which basically is the firewall on the device, and you have to manage that yourself. We take care of the security of NAT gateways. We take care of the fact that there is a firewall that nobody can break into it. And that's the important point. So C is right and D is right. And if you have the choice, you should use NAT gateways over NAT instances. Okay? And thanks again for the catch. The answer, so the question changed for the answer. That's correct. Now let me see, who did we have here? Question 9. Oh, wait, did I? Kevin, yeah, okay. So question 9, we had 3 people joined question 9, and I'm gonna just ask Alexa. No, I didn't mean what she thinks. Give me a random number between 1 and 3.
Your random number between 1 and 3 is 3.
3. Shit. Oh, I probably can't pronounce that correctly. Shital Kumar Davle. Congratulations. Congratulations for an AWS credit voucher worth $25. If you're right here, let me know in the chat. If you're not, I'm gonna get in touch through YouTube. For everybody who has just joined, we're going through a number of AWS certification questions, specifically questions for the Solutions Architect Associate certification, and raffling out a few credits. So if you want to take part in the raffle, just type !raffle like I do here. Can I post that in the chat? If you do so, you're in for a chance to win credits for AWS. Okay, now let's get to question number 10, which is the last one for today. Which are advantages of, oh, that's interesting. Placement groups, that's an interesting one. Which are advantages of a spread placement group over non-grouped instances? Again, choose 2 answers. We have A, a spread placement group can span peered VPCs in the same region. B, a spread placement group allows instances to talk with negligible network lag. C, a spread placement group is less expensive than the same number of on-demand instances not in a group. Or D, a spread placement group reduces I/O in an instance within that group. What do you think? A, B, C, or D? 2 are correct. 2 are correct. 2 of these. Let me know what you think. A, B, C, or D? I need to grab a drink. B and C. Sudalai says B and C. Ahmed says A and B. So we have A and B. We have B and C. Anybody? Nobody D? B and C. I can explain the question more. Yes, let me explain the question. So in EC2, when you run EC2 instances, there are so-called placement groups. There are different placement groups. And once we went through the question, I'll go through the different placement group options and how they differ. So you can, using a placement group, you have an influence on how and where the instances are placed in relationship to each other, how far apart or how close together. And there are certain types of placement groups. One of those is a spread placement group. And now the question is, what are the advantages of using a spread placement group over not using a placement group at all? That's the question. And don't mind if you don't understand it. I'm going to go through it once we are through the question. Once we have the answer, I'm gonna explain what that means specifically. So anybody else? We have B and C. Davey says B. Anybody else? What do you think? A, B, C, D. We have 2 options. 2 are correct. B and D. Hey, Aparna, thanks for joining the raffle. It's great to have you here. B and C. James says B and D. Anybody else? Anybody else? Which are the advantages of a spread placement group over non-grouped instances? Want me to solve it? I'm going to solve it. Let's see. I'll go all the way to the right. Here we go. And it's A and B. Yeah, it's fine, Shadi. It's fine to pass on this answer. Sometimes we just don't know it. And it's better simply to say, I don't know, instead of guessing. I mean, in an exam, if you do the certification exam, if you don't know it, it still makes sense to guess. But in a real situation, as a solutions architect, if your customer asks you something and you don't know the answer, it is much better to say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know, but I'm going to look it up and tell you once I have. So want me to zoom the question? Let me see. Let me see if I can zoom the question. Oh, it's a little bit difficult to zoom the question. Let's see. Can you read it now? Is it better now? Okay, anyway, so A and B is correct. I'll tell you why. Or I'll go back and go through all 4. First, a spread placement group. What is a spread placement group? And I'm going to open up placement groups, AWS EC2 placement groups, because there's a nice visualization on the page. Here we go. All right. Here we go. Placement groups. Let's see. Okay, placement groups. So we have 3 types of placement groups: spread, cluster, and spread, cluster, and partition. These are the 3 placement groups that we have. So cluster, partition, and spread. And I'm going to scroll down and start with spread because the question was about that. A spread placement group. Here. This is what a spread placement group does. It deploys up to 7 instances into different racks. It spreads the instances across different independent racks across the availability zone. The idea behind that is that if you have an application if maybe one server goes down, you need to make sure that the others are not affected. Then you can use a spread placement group, because each of these racks here has only one of the instances, and each of these racks have their own power supply, have their own networking and everything, so that if this rack breaks, it will only affect this instance and it won't affect the other instances. That is a spread placement group. So it makes sure that they're placed across different racks with their own power supply and their own network connection. This is for basically high availability and fault tolerance. So if you need to make sure that as many instances as possible keep running if some hardware fails or if you have a power outage. Going back to the question, a spread placement group can span peered VPCs in the same region. This is true because it's all in one availability zone, but this can be in separate VPCs. This can be 3 in one VPC and 4 in another one, for instance. That works. Spread placement groups just say, how are the instances distributed physically inside of the AWS data center? Second, a spread placement group allows instances to talk with negligible network lag. This is true because they are still all inside of an availability zone. And inside of an availability zone, you have really very, very, very little latency. Even across availability zones, inside of one region, you have extremely low latency because we have high bandwidth dedicated cables between our availability zones to connect them. So you have really low latency between the instances. And this is why B is correct. C, a spread placement group is less expensive than the same number of on-demand instances not in a group. This is incorrect because placement groups have no effect on cost. There is no, where do I have it? Rules, limitations. Let me see. I'm going to find it. I'm sorry, I got to scroll real quick. Here we go. Here it is. There is no charge for creating a placement group, but they are also not less expensive. It has no effect on the price. It has an effect on how the instances are distributed across our data centers. Next one, D. A spread placement group reduces I/O in an instance within that group. This is not correct. It does not reduce I/O. We have two other placement groups. We have cluster placement groups and we have partition placement groups. And cluster placement groups specifically reduce latency and I/O between the instances. You have much higher flow throughput between the instances because all instances are in the same rack. That means all your cluster instances are put on the same hardware rack, so they have really low, they are directly next to each other, very often even on the same server, on the same piece of hardware. So the VMs are on the same piece of hardware. That means all are very near to each other, and so you have really high throughput. You have extremely high bandwidth. So if you have a cluster like for Kafka or for Elastic MapReduce, for Hadoop, and a Hadoop cluster, and you want all the instances to be really close together, then you would use a cluster placement group. And the third option, the partition placement group, is a hybrid of the two that we just talked about. In a partition placement group, you have partitions, each containing a cluster. So for instance, if you use Hive, if you have a Hive cluster or a Hadoop cluster, or Cassandra or whatever, then you can put the cluster in one partition and have multiple of these clusters. So if one cluster goes down because of a failure, because of a power failure or a hardware failure, I'll go back up here. If you have a failure here somewhere, your whole cluster goes down. The whole cluster is gone. I gotta sneeze. Sorry. So if this goes down, everything goes down. And in a partition placement group, you have basically both. You have spread, so you spread the partitions across different racks throughout the availability zone. But in each of those racks, you have a cluster. So the individual instances in the cluster are really close together, but you have multiple clusters. And if this one fails, if this one goes down, the other ones are still there. So this, of course, is the most performant and at the same time most highly available option. And these are the three placement group options that we have in EC2. And if I go to EC2, let's see. If I go to EC2, I'll just go into the instance launch dialog. I'll select this one. Select this one. Now, here we go. What I can do here is I can say when I configure the EC2 instance details, I can say I want to add this instance to a placement group. And then I can choose either an existing placement group or a new placement group. I don't have one now. I can create a new one. And here I can choose the strategy: cluster, spread, or partition. And I can give it a name, my placement group. And give it a name, and let's say I want 4 partitions, and I want it to auto-distribute across the partitions. Or I want to have this instance running in partition number 3. So I can even decide which partition to put each individual instance. Or I just let AWS EC2 decide. And that's how that works. Same for spread. In spread, you can launch up to 7, up to 8 instances. And AWS will take care of just distributing these instances across the availability zone. And if you say cluster, it's just everything put on one piece of hardware, on one rack, so that everything is close together. That's that. So, Shadi, was that does that answer it for? So, were you able, and everybody else, of course, were you able to understand the difference between the various placement groups? And if you still have questions, please let me know. We have a few minutes left. And while we do that, we have a number of people in the raffle. Let me see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 people are in the raffle. Anybody who hasn't joined the raffle yet, it's your last chance now to type !raffle to join the raffle if you haven't already, because I'd like each and every one of you to get the chance. I'm going to close the raffle in 1 minute. And while we're at that, Shadi, yeah, good. I'm happy that that this was understandable. While we're at that, the newest questions. Today's question is live already. I don't know if you've seen it. I'll post the link here because this is what I would like you all to watch after this. I'll post it in chat. Normsy, Mackenzie, nice to see you. This one, once we're done here, you can go here because I've just published a new question today. And next week, Friday, I'm going to run the same show again for this week's questions. So I had 5 questions this week again, questions number 11 to 15. You can watch all of them on the playlist on YouTube. And you can join next week again. So everybody's in the raffle. Anybody still missing? Let me see. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 people in the raffle. We have 11 people in the chat. That's great. All right. So I'm going to close the raffle now. going to close the entries. Gonna close the entries. And I'm going to, is it closed? Let me see the chat. You can no longer enter the raffle. And now I'm gonna click on pick a winner. Let's see. Let's see, who's the winner? Sudalai, congratulations. You have won an AWS credit voucher worth $25. And I'm gonna raffle a second one. Just for another one to get the chance. Pick another winner. Normsy Mackenzie won as well. And one more, and then that's it for today. Yosan Mateos, congratulations. You'll see all of you in the chat in a second. Sulalai, Yosan, and Normsy. Congratulations. Thank you so much for watching. I'm sorry for everybody else. If you didn't get a chance to win today, you can still always win. Just join my individual questions throughout the week, answer underneath the questions, and you're in a raffle. And join the live show that I run every Friday. And yeah, just get another chance. For those of you who won, please send an email to this address. Please send an email to this address, and I'm gonna put it on a banner as well. Let me see. Here we go. Send a message to this address please use your Google account, the one that you use for YouTube, so I can make sure that you are the ones who actually won. Thank you, James. Thanks for the feedback. I'm so happy that you were all here. I love the interaction. It was a lot of fun. And as I said, here's the video with today's question. Again, put it in the chat again. This is today's question. And here is the playlist with let's see. And this is the playlist with all questions. And I'm putting out 5 questions a week. I will probably slow down a bit next week because I'm on vacation. Yeah, sure. Thanks, Devi Kiran, for the feedback. I will probably slow down a little bit. It might not be 5, it may be 3 next week, but I'm gonna run this show again next week, Friday, at the same time, 3 o'clock my time. I don't know your time. I'm sorry for those like Jose who are in South America or in North America. It's really early for you, I know. It's probably pretty late for people coming from Southeast Asia. I'm trying to make it comfortable for everyone, as comfortable as I can. Thanks for watching. Shadi, you wanna ask me something? So if you have any questions, we have got 2 more minutes because before I have to go offline. Shadi, what do you want to suggest? What's your idea? Please. And everybody else, if you have any suggestions, please let me know. You can always get in touch either in the discussion tab on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, or using the email address that I just posted. And on YouTube, there's this, where is it? Oh, where's my channel? Your channel. Here we go. There's this discussion thread. Feel free to join this discussion here. So if you have any questions, please, or suggestions, please let me know. Can we do coffee break each month? We can do a coffee break, of course. We can do that. Do you mean just like after half an hour that we make a quick break? I can do that. That would be a great idea. Then I would remember to drink. Let's see. Or what? Or do you mean something else? Because you write each month. I'm not sure what you mean with each month. By the way, who here is actually preparing for a certification? And if you are, which one? Next live session is next week, Friday. So 1 week from now is the next live session, Yosan. Ahmed, I am You are. Shadi is. Your son is. Are you? Okay. Solution Architect Associate. Yeah. 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 Cool. Yeah, I did that. I got all 3 associate, all 2 professional, and I did the security certification, security specialty. What I'm working on next for me, and this is the tough one, is networking, the networking specialty. I'm really looking forward to that one, and I really need to do a lot of studying to be able to pass that, to set that. Okay, cool. Everyone, thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being here. I will see you next week. Take care. Goodbye.